Hello friends, you're welcome to my Vivi Creations channel. So today we'll be drafting a yoke blouse pattern, that is blouse with yoke. Okay, so I say a very big welcome to you all, and if you're yet to subscribe to this channel, do well to hit on that subscribe button below and also turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss out on any of my videos. I upload videos on this channel every week on fashion tips, sewing tutorials, and a lot. So let's get started. My paper on fold because I want to show you how it's going to be. So I folded my paper based on my biggest measurement. So it's going to be a full blouse, not a half cut blouse. So I use the hip measurement, which is the biggest measurement. So the hip measurement, that is hip circumference, divide by 4 plus 6 inches. So I'm adding extra 6 inches because we'll be cutting out. By the time we cut out the darts and add our 2 inches sewing allowance, everything will balance well. So the biggest measurement divide by 4 plus 6 inches extra. So the biggest measurement here is the hip, which is 44 inches. Divide by 4, that is 11 inches. So I have 17 inches here. That's 17.5, which is okay. That is the extra 6 inches. So I folded my paper by 17 inches. Okay, so that is it. Now let's get started. At this top, I would mark 1 inch and draw my line. So that would be my starting point. So, but the reason I'm measuring it is because I want to place my shoulder allowance at that top. So what I'll do, just mark 1 inch. Make sure it is up to 1 inch so that you can mark your shoulder allowance up there. So I'll just draw a line. I'll draw a line. So just carefully place your ruler and you draw your line. So I have it here. Now I will place my vertical measurement from this point. So this is the starting point now. From this point, I'll place the vertical measurement. And the first vertical measurement to place here is the bust point. So as for the upper bust, by the time you place the armhole length, you get that. So I'll place the bust point. So the bust point is 10 inches. The bust point 10 inches, the under bust 14 inches, the waist is 16 inches, then the hip is 25 inches. Okay, then the full length of the blouse is 27. The hip is 25, so I'll add 2 inches to that for the full length of the blouse and for the hemming. Okay, so that is it. Now I'll extend these points. So I'll just slightly place the points here to help me draw a straight line across. So this is the bust points, the under bust, the waist, the hip, and the full length of the blouse. So I'll just draw my line across and I'll label them. Okay, so just draw the line across. So I have my lines here. So you can see the bust, the under bust, the waist, and the hip points. Okay, so now I'll place the shoulder. The shoulder is 15 inches. 15 inches divided by 2, that is 7.5 inches. But I'll mark 8 inches. That is, I'll add half inch for joining the sleeve. So I'll mark at 8 inches. Okay, so 7.5 plus half inch, that is 8 inches, and that is it. That is my shoulder point. Then I will mark my neckline. So I'm taking the neckline width of 4 inches, and the depth will also be 4 inches. So you can take whatever wideness or whatever depth of neckline you want, but this is going to be a yoke blouse. So I want the neck to be 4 inches. deep, okay, 4 inches deep, and the wideness also 4 inches. So let me mark it very well and connect my points. So this is the neck line. Okay, now at this shoulder points, come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope, then connect to the neck width. So this is the shoulder slope. Okay, now from the shoulder slope, I'll place the armhole length. So the armhole length, you can measure the round armhole, divide it by 2, or you use the standard formula, which is bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. So that is the standard formula for finding the armhole length. So for this client, it is 8 inches. So from this shoulder slope, you take the measurement, you place the measurement. So it is 8 inches for this client. So I'll just mark at 8 inches. Make sure it is straight. Okay, now I will connect it. So this is the armhole length. I have it here. So I'll draw the line. I'll draw a line here, which will be the upper bust or the chest line. Okay, so that is the upper bust or the chest line. So you can see where the armhole lies. That is where you have the upper bust. So let me use C to mark it as the chest line. So that is chest line or upper bust. So that is it. Now at this top, I'll place my shoulder sewing allowance. You need that allowance for joining. Some people don't do this, they just join the allowance at this side, but it is necessary you put it here, because if you don't place the allowance here, by the time you sew in your shoulder, you'll be reducing your neck measurement and the armhole measurement. So you place the allowance. So how to place the allowance is this: just from this neck width, you measure half inch up. From any point of the shoulder slant, just measure half inch. You come here, you measure half inch upward. So these half inch points now, just connect them. Okay, so just connect the points like this. Just connect them, and you also connect it like this too, and like this. Okay, and you have it there. So this is the shoulder joining allowance. This is where you join the shoulder. So by the time you join the shoulder now, it will not affect your armhole and it will not affect your neckline. Everything will be okay. So you need to do this. Now I would place my armhole. So this first shoulder slant, that is where you place your armhole length from. So just measure your armhole length. So this is 8 inches. I'll find the midpoint. The midpoint is 4 inches. Okay, so from that 4 inches point, just come in by half inch. Sometimes you come in by 1 inch or by 0.7 inch. Half inch is also okay. So I'm coming in by half inch. So from that half inch, I'll connect it to my shoulder slope up there. So just connect it there. Okay, then we want to make our armhole curve. So to make your armhole curve at this chest line, place your bust measurement. That is the bust circumference divided by 4. So here the bust circumference is 40 divided by 4. That is 10 inches. But I'll add half inch for ease at the armpit area. So that will be 10.5. So 10.5. I'll mark it here. So now I'll connect my armhole curve to meet it. So I'll create my armhole curve. So you can use your French curve. If you don't have French curve, just carefully connect with your free hand. Okay, so just make a curve from here to this point, like so. So make sure you blend it out. You don't want a sharp edge there, so just blend it. And this is our armhole. Okay, now I can also create my neckline. So I don't want to use the French curve. It will not give me the neckline I want. So I'll just trace with my chalk. Then I'll now mark it out with my marker so you can see it. So this is the neckline I want for this, okay? So just round like that, and this is it. So the next thing now is to place our dart. To place the dart, you need the bust span. So the bust span here is 8 inches. That is nipple to nipple, from one nipple to the other. 8 inches divided by 2, that is 4. But I'll be adding half inch. You know, we'll be cutting out the dart and sewing. So by the time you sew back, it will balance back. So I'll place half inch. That is 4.5. Okay, I'll be marking 4.5. It's 4.5 from the bust point all the way down. From the bust point all the way down, you mark your bust span plus half inch. So this is it. You mark it all the way to the hem. You have it here. Now connect with a straight line. Just connect the points. Just carefully place your ruler and connect everything. So this is it. These are bust span. Now from this bust point, come down by 1 inch. You come down by 1 inch at the under bust. Here now, the measurement I'm placing here depends on the bust size of the person. You have average bust size of around 36, okay, to 39 like that and below. If you have that average bust size of 36 and below, or 36 to 39, you can use 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. But if you have bust size of from 40 to 50, 55, it's good to use 2 inches on this side. So by the time you create the bust cup, it will be able to accommodate the person's bust. So I'll be using 2 inches here because the client's bust is 40. Then I'll use 1 inch on this side. Okay, from the under bust, I'll mark 2 inches here all the way down, 1 inch here all the way down. So 2 inches on this side. Just mark it all the way down. Then my 1 inch on this side all the way down also. So we'll have it there. Now we'll connect. Okay, we'll connect. So from this 1 inch step down, we'll connect to this point, connect to this point, then you connect down. So when you're connecting here, you connect it with a curve because we want to form the bust curve. Okay, so from this under bust, connect to the 1 inch step down from the bust. You connect it with a curve like this. Then you come to this side too. You come to this side also. You just create a slight curve also at this side. Okay, like this. Then you connect the rest straight. So just follow this thing step by step. Just follow it step by step like that. So make sure you place your ruler well. Then you connect all the way down. You also connect this one. Then you draw it all the way down. Okay, so you see what we have here. So we've created the dart for this side. Now we'll come to this upper part. You measure your shoulder slope. This shoulder slope, you measure it and find the midpoint. You measure it and find the midpoint. So what I have here is 4 inches. Okay, so the midpoint is 2 inches. So you just measure your midpoint, whatever you have. You find, you measure your shoulder, whatever you have, divide it by 2. That is, you find the midpoint of it. So from this midpoint now, I'll connect. But before you connect, first of all, at this bust point, you come up by 1 inch. Okay, so the 1 inch from this bust point is also at the chest line. So you just come up by 1 inch. So directly from the bust point, come up by 1 inch. This is it. Just the way we step down by 1 inch here, you also come up by 1 inch. Now you connect this point to this point. So just draw a straight line connecting the points. So have it there. So at this line now, you come up, measure 2 inches. So just measure 2 inches. That is 2. So that by the time you create the bust cup, it will be able to accommodate the bust. So you measure 2 inches there. And here, I'll take 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. So you can take ½ inch on both sides depending on the bust. So if your bust is at the average type, you take ½ inch here, just like 36 to 39. Okay, you take 1 inch on this side, or 1 inch here, ½ inch here. Then when you come here, you take ½ inch, ½ inch. So just that is the way it is. Now I'll connect this point. Okay, so just connect this point, and you also connect this one. So have it there. Sorry, my marker is flowing. So now, having connected this point, the next thing to do is to make your curve. Okay, so normally this one you're even supposed to curve it, but no problem. So you can just still curve it now. So just connect from this point to this point using your curve to make sure it is curved and not sharp. Okay, make sure it is curved. So it is okay. You can see it now. So this is the bust cup. So you also connect this one. So it's just okay like this. So by the time you cut it out, you curve your hand. Okay, so have it there. So now the next thing is to, like this will be a yoke blouse, and the down part of the blouse, I want it to have sweetheart top. Okay, so this is the neckline, but the down part of the blouse, which the yoke will be attached to, I want it to have sweetheart top. So now for my sweetheart, I will connect from this point up to this point. So it depends on what you want. If you want it deep to the bust, you connect to the bust. But I'll come to the chest line. I'll just come down by ½ inch from the chest line, and that is where I'll connect my sweetheart top. Okay, so here, so what I'll do now is just to connect it from this point to the armhole. Okay, to cross this to the armhole. So first of all, I'll use my chalk to make it, because I don't want to have double lines there by the time I use my marker. So just, you can also use French curve, okay, to do this. You can use your French curve to do this, okay, but you give it whatever shape you like. So I've drawn it with my marker. Now I would make it visible for you to see. So this is it. You just connect it to the armhole. Okay, you can extend this one. Just connect it to the armhole, and we have it there. So now every dart you place on your pattern, you have to replace the dart. Like this dart here now will be cutting off. We'll be cutting off this dart, so you have to replace it here. You have to replace it here. So it is 2 inches, 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. I will replace it here. So this curving, you can also let it pass through this. Okay, you can make it pass through this top like this. Okay, so let me just make it go that way. Let me just make it go that way. So just ignore this first one. Okay, so it depends on what you want anyway. So this is how it will go, like this. Okay, so now like I was saying, every dart you cut out, please replace it, because by the time you don't replace it, you cut out these 2 inches and you join, it will be short off. So these 2 inches here, I would come here and replace it. Okay, so just mark it there. Sorry, my marker is flowing, so but I hope you understand. So I've replaced the 2 inches, and I'll also replace it at this chest line. So you go back there and you add the 2 inches. So with this now, you form a new armhole. Okay, so you just connect this point to this one. This is another new armhole. So don't worry about this. By the time you have cut out this 2 inches here and you join it, it will balance back. This one will now come back and join the initial armhole. So I hope you understand. So you're placing this again just because of this part you'll be cutting out. So this is it. Now at this chest line, I have placed my bust measurement. You know, that is the bust measurement I placed initially to connect the armhole. Now I have replaced my darts. Then I'll be adding my 2 inches sewing allowance. So that is what I'll add now. 2 inches sewing allowance, and I have it there. Okay, so this measurement here has covered up for the bust. It's the same thing. I'll come to the under bust. The under bust measurement. Now I'll place the under bust circumference. So the under bust circumference is 35 inches. Divide by 4, 8, that is 8.75. 8.75. This is it here, close to 9. Okay, then this dart here, I'll have to replace it. Like I said, if you don't replace your dart, by the time you just cut out this, just imagine, cut out this from the person's measurement. By the time you finish sewing, the clothes will not fit the person. The person will not be able to wear the clothes because it will be tight. So you replace this dart. So I have placed my under bust measurement divided by 4. Now I'll place this 3 inches dart. You can still measure it. You can see 3 inches. So I'll place it here. 3 inches. Then I'll place my 2 inches sewing allowance, and I have it here. Okay, now at the waist you do the same thing. The waist measurement is 40 divided by 4, that is 10 inches. So you first of all mark at the 10 inches. You replace your 3 inches darts. So you place 3 inches darts, then 2 inches sewing allowance, and I have it there. Same thing at the hip. The hip is 44 divided by 4, that is 11, plus the 3 inches darts, 2 inches sewing allowance, and I have it here. So now I would connect. So you see why I said you should add 6 inches extra after dividing your hip measurement by 4. So by the time you place the dart, the allowances, everything will be able to match up. If you just fold your paper without measuring, you might end up having shortage or excess to waste. Now I would connect my points. So you can use your ruler to connect, or you can just connect straight ahead. Okay, so now I would connect. So when you have a situation like this person's waist is almost, in fact, it's the same size with the person's bust. Like the person has a big tummy, so it will add up to the waist. When you want to connect, you can ignore this under bust. So you just connect straight from the bust to the waist to the hip. That would cover up for the bust, for the under bust, because you are taking it, you are even taking extra. Then when you are sewing it, you place the measurement. So the reason why we need the under bust here is because we are creating a bustier blouse. So the cup will form to the under bust. But when you are connecting your points, please, you can just connect it straight, because it will look awkward when you connect from here to the under bust and you cuff like this and you now go to the hip. So you can see, so you can just connect it straight from the bust, like from the under bust. You just go this way to the waist, then to the hip. Okay, so that is what I would do. So I'll just follow my markings like this to the hip, okay, and to the hem, just all the way to the hem, and I have it here. So you can see the under bust is still inclusive. You are not coming beyond it, so it's still inclusive in your connection. So just mark it like this. Okay, then when you are sewing, you can place the measurement and sew along. Now I would cut this out. So at this down part, if you want it curvy, if this will be a blouse that will be worn on skirt and you want it curvy, what you will do at this part, you measure 1 inch. Then you come here, you can measure like 3 inches or 5 inches. So I take 5 inches, then you just connect it. Okay, so what you do, you just connect it like so, and you cut out. Okay, so I'll be leaving it straight like that because wrapper will be tied on the blouse. There's no need for cutting it out. So just cut it. There's no need for covering it. So I'll just cut it out. So before you cut, when you are cutting, this is what you will do. You will cut. So by the time you get here, you will cut out your sweetheart neck. You cut it out, and you also have the yoke. Okay, so now let me cut. So now I'll cut this part first before cutting the darts. So just follow your markings. So just cut your hand. Okay, I have it there. So let me trim out my yoke first of all. So this is the yoke part. Now I can open up my darts. So I have this. Now I also cut out this one. So this is it. You just blend it. Don't want sharp edges there. So this is it. You can use this as tube top. So let me just open it up. So this is sweetheart tube blouse or tube top, which can also be used as off shoulder. You can join this as off shoulder blouse, then you join your sleeve. This is another way of cutting off shoulder blouse. Okay, and this one is with sweetheart neck. Now for the yoke, this is the yoke part. So this is it. This is how it will be joined. So you see why I told you to add your allowance. So by the time you join your blouse, now you can see it will now balance back. So I hope you can see this. So whatever that you are cutting out from whatever you are cutting, make sure you always replace that. If you don't replace it, by the time you join, it will be short of it. So just look at it here now. So this is how it was, and this is here. Now we have cut out this part, so you know you will join. By the time you have joined it, you can see the armhole has balanced back. So this is it about cutting our yoke blouse. So I'll also show you how to cut the back. So now let me show you how to cut the back. Okay, so now to cut the back, so I have done everything. This is just the basic bodice. I decided to do it from the start when I was doing the front pattern, the front panel. So for the back, I've already done everything. The neckline, the armhole. The armhole for the back is just from the center of the armhole line, connect to the bust measurement you place here. Is in the front that will come in by ½ inch, so that the front armhole can be deeper than the back, right? Then my shoulder allowance for joining, I've placed it there. This is the zipper allowance, then the bust span. So I've measured the bust span. So for the back, because we are not, the darts we'll be cutting out for the back will not be as wide as that of the front. The reason why the dart for the front is so wide is because of the bust cup, so that we can get the bust cup. But the back does not have bust cup. So the bust span I placed here is exactly, that is the bust span divided by 2, which is 4 inches. Okay, So I marked 4 inches from the chest line, because the back dart will come from the chest line. That is 1 inch from the chest line. Okay, so let me place the back dart. I know you already know all this by now. So the chest line, the bust point, the waist. So for the back, I didn't mark under bust. We don't need the under bust for the back. The reason why we use the under bust in the front is to get a bust curve, so that it will lie under the bust. Okay, so what we need here is the chest line, the bust line, the waist, and the hip, then the full length of the blouse. So now I'll place my dart. So for the back dart, from the chest line you come down by 1 inch. Wherever the 1 inch is from your chest line, you mark it. So here the chest line, 1 inch from the chest line is just at the bust point there. So you mark it. You come to the waist, you take ½ inch on both sides. So the dart we're taking here will be like the normal waist dart. So from the hip, you come up by 2 inches. Okay, so you know this is how we take the normal waist dart. You come up by 2 inches. Now we will connect. So just connect from this point to this point, like so. And you connect this one. Okay, then you also connect this. So this is the dart. Okay, now remember that this is a yoke blouse, so I'm also going to cut out the yoke for the back, but the back yoke will not be sweetheart. That the down part will not have sweetheart neck. I'll just make it straight. But one thing you have to take note of is this: wherever the front yoke, wherever you have the front yoke, okay, wherever you have it at the armhole, you also mark it for the back, so that by the time you sew it, it will align. The back yoke and the front yoke will align at this joining part. Okay, so let me just use my ruler to help me extend it. So this is it here. This is where I'll have it here. Okay, so you can see the front. This is the front armhole. It's deeper than the back armhole by that ½ inch, so you can see it. So this is where my yoke will be at the back, and for that of the back, I don't want the sweetheart neck, so it's just going to be straight. So it will be straight. Okay, so I place this here, and I'm also going to mark it straight from the chest line. It will just go like this. Okay, so just arrange it, because you want it to align both at the front, at the armhole area where you join, and also at the sides where you will join. So just make sure you arrange it well like this. So wherever you marked it at the front, this is where I marked it. Okay, so I won't curve it, I'll just draw it straight like this. So it will just go that way to join this. So it also gets to the zipper allowance, because you'll be cutting it out from the zipper allowance. Okay, so you just mark it to that point. You have it here. So this is how the back yoke will be. So I'll cut it out like this. Now I will cut my dart. So I have to extend this line to this point. So just extend the line. Okay, so but before cutting the darts, we have to place our horizontal measurements. So now at this chest line, I've placed my bust. I've placed the bust measurement. So what I'll place there now is the sewing allowance, which is 2 inches. So 2 inches sewing allowance. Here it is. Then this measurement is also for the bust. Then at the waist, you place the waist measurement and you replace this dart. Okay, so the waist measurement is 40 divided by 4, that is 10. Remember, you're measuring from the after the zipper allowance. Okay, you're measuring from after the zipper allowance. So yes, that is what I have here. So I'll place 10 inches. I'll mark my 10 inches. This is it here. Replace my 1-inch dart. Okay, so I want to be sure. Yes, this is the point. Replace my 1-inch dart. Then I'll place my 2 inches sewing allowance, and this is it here. Also do the same thing at the hip. So there's no dart at the hip, but we'll be cutting it out straight. And when we cut it out straight, we'll be cutting it. By the time we are joining, we'll also join it by 1/2 inch. Okay, so we'll just place everything there. So now I'll place my hip measurement, which is 11 inches. Okay, plus the 1/2 inch for joining it here. That will be 11.5. I'll also add that 1/2 inch on all this part, because by the time we cut, we'll join by 1/2 inch. So it's better to have excess. By the time you finish joining, you can trim off than having shortage and the dress will be tight. So let me add that 1/2 inch there, and that is it. Okay, so I think I've not added my sewing allowance here. Yes, I've not added my sewing allowance. So now I'll add my sewing allowance. This is my 11.5 plus 2 inches. 2 inches for sewing allowance. Okay, I've added a 1/2 inch before. So this is my 2 inches for sewing allowance. So you can measure again. There's this sewing saying that measure 2 times but cut once. Okay, so even when you're taking the measurement on the body, you can measure 2 times. When you're measuring on the pattern, you can measure 2 times, just to be sure of what you are doing, to be sure that everything is accurate. Okay, I have it here, plus my 2 inches and 1/2 for joining the dart. I have it there. Then my waist, I have it. My dart is there. 2 inches for joining and the 1/2 inch also. So everything is in place. So you just go through your pattern again, make sure that everything is in place. You have marked out all you need to mark, then you cut. So I'll cut my back yoke like this. Okay, then I'll cut out my dart. So but before then, let me connect the points here. So just connect like so, then I'll connect it down also. Okay, so by the time I join, everything will be okay. So here I'm having a bit shoot out because of the dart, but by the time I sew in the dart, it will balance off. So now I will cut it out. So let me cut out. Also extend this line to my hem. So extend this to the hem. Okay, so like I said when I was drafting the front, if you want it curvy at this part, you can do that and you cut it. So now I'll just cut. So everybody's body pattern is not the same. So when you draft your bodies, it might not look the same like any other one. So it depends on the body measurement. Okay, some people have big tummy, some people have flat tummy. So all that will reflect in your pattern. So this is it. Now cut this side. So for my back neckline, remember the wideness at the front is 4 inches. So I placed the 4 inches and I came down by 2 inches. So the depth is 2 inches. You can take whatever depth you want for your neckline. So here it is. Now I'll cut out the yoke. So this is the back yoke. So now I will now cut out my darts. So cut this one like this. So we need this dart to make it relax at the waist. Okay, at the back side of the waist, it will be relaxed there. So you also cut out this side. So this is the back panel. Okay, so by the time you open it, and remember to open up your zipper allowance. That is the open up your center back. Open up your center back like this. Also open up the center back for the yoke. So we have it here. So now, by the time you open it up, this is how the back will be. Okay. So like I said before, you can also use this for your off-shoulder blouse. Okay, you can use this for your off-shoulder blouse. Then the yoke will also come like this, so you can see it. So for the back armhole, because we are not cutting out anything, the armhole remain the same the way it is. So now I'll transfer to my fabric, and when we're transferring to fabric, we would add allowances. Like this top, the yoke part now will add ½ inch when we are cutting it on fabric. Add all the half inch that you use in joining them back.
So this is simply how to draft your yoke blouse pattern. Okay, so by the time you're done, you'll have something like this. So I hope you like this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so. Just hit on that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my videos. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.